So recently I did my full review of the Bosch GT-1000 core. Now for time constraints and trying to keep the video as short as possible, there was a few features that really impressed me that I could not mention in that review. So in today's video, I want to break them down individually and give you my 5 favorite features of the Bosch GT-1000 core and why you should consider purchasing it. So on the Bosch GT-1000 core, obviously we have 3 foot switches. Now we can change the way these 3 foot switches actually operate. Now if you set the pedal to manual mode, each foot switch will act as a stomp box on and a stomp box off. Now a really cool thing about the GT-1000 core is we can actually map multiple controller assigns to each foot switch individually. So this means you can press one foot switch and trigger multiple commands from a single press. So if we take a look inside of my effects chain, you will see that control pedal 1 is controlling this effects block over here. If I click this in, you can see it turns effects block 1 on, and it'll also turn effects block 1 off. Now a really cool thing we can do here is we can set up multiple custom controller assigns, and it's really easy. So if we head into the menu, and we go into controller assign and we go to assign settings, this will take you into the assign matrix. And in this menu here, you can set up to 16 custom controller assigns, whether that be using the provided foot switches built into the GT-1000 core itself, or by connecting an external MIDI foot controller or an external foot switch, for example. So let's take foot switch 1. So we're going to turn foot switch 1 on, and we're going to change the target. There's a variety of different categories and parameters within each category you can choose from. I'm going to turn on delay pedal 1 with this foot switch command. You can see I can select the category and then choose a variety of parameters for this effects block of which I want to control. Now I want to control the on and off parameters. So we'll select that. You could change it if you want to something else, but we'll select that and we will now exit out. Now, if we scroll over to the right, this will allow us to define what source will trigger this foot switch. You can choose through a variety of different options, but we want to use control pedal 1. So now we've got that set up and it's set to toggle. Let's exit out and go back to our effects chain. Now, if you take a look here, we have effects block 1 and we also have delay effects block 1 over here. And if I click control pedal 1, it will trigger both effects blocks now simultaneously. And that's a feature that you cannot do on some other guitar modeling processing units that are set to be released this year. So this next setting that I want to discuss is really cool on the GT-1000 core. So let's head into my effects chain. And we're going to scroll all the way over to the end, past all of the dividers, all of the 24 effects blocks of which we can run simultaneously. And let's go right to the end of the chain to this master block over here. Inside of this block, you can specify the BPM of your patch. You can specify the key of the patch if you're maybe using harmonizer pedals to make sure that they're in tune with what you're actually performing. But if we scroll over to the right, you can see we have this feature called Carryover. And we have the ability to turn this on or turn this off. Now what Carryover does is basically, let's say you have loads of reverbs and delays on your patch and you play a huge chord at the end of your performance. And then you boot into your next patch. You again boot over to your next preset. What normally happens on other modelers is they often cut off your delays and reverbs because obviously they are not present on the next patch that you have booted into. Well, on the GT-1000 core, if you set Carryover to on, your reverbs and delays and other effects that you may have been using will continue to play and naturally decay as you boot into your next patch. Now, before we move on to some of my other favorite reasons, if you want to learn about any of the settings in detail that I've discussed in today's video, check out the link in the video description down below for my Bosch GT-1000 Core Ultimate Guide. Now, this is a course that takes you through a variety of different settings on the GT-1000 Core to really help you understand the device and get the most out of your guitar processing unit. Now, obviously on the Bosch GT-1000 core, you do have the ability to connect an external expression pedal, of which you can do a multitude of different things with. You could use it as a wah pedal, a volume pedal, or whatever you specify it to do within the controller assign menu. But let's say, for example, you either don't own an expression pedal or you just don't use one. You either struggle to coordinate your guitar playing while controlling the wah pedal, and you never get the desired results that you want. Well, the GT-1000 core has got this really cool feature called virtual expression pedal. And what this allows you to do is basically it allows you to almost create an auto wah style effect where a synth wave will be sent through the GT-1000 core, of which you can select different shapes and styles, and that will determine how the virtual expression pedal will be moved in motion on the GT-1000 core, which means you could turn this effect on and then you could walk away from your GT-1000 core, and the expression pedal of your wah effect or whatever you've set this parameter to be will continue to do it automatically without you manually having to control an expression pedal physically, which is a really cool feature and something I never anticipated to see on this unit. Now, my second favorite feature of the Bosch GT-1000 core is the fact you can create instrument-specific input presets. And what I mean by this is basically, let's say for example, you have loads of different guitars within your collection and you want to use those with the GT-1000 core. Well, on a device like the Kemper Profiler, every time you connect a different instrument with different pickups, maybe single coils, maybe humbuckers, may have active pickups, every time you use a different guitar with a digital amplifier, that guitar is sending a different amount of signal into the preamp, whether it be hotter, whether that be weaker. And unlike with a traditional valve amplifier, how that works naturally and is perfectly fine, with a digital amplifier, you need to ensure that you're sending the correct amount of input information to get the most amount of dynamic range out of the digital amp. So with the GT-1000 core, you can create up to 10 different presets for 10 different guitars, whether that be your Les Paul, your Stratocaster, even a bass guitar, your acoustic guitar, whatever you wish to use with the unit itself. Save those onto the unit, and then inside of each preset individually, you can specify which input preset you wish to use. And this allows you to maximize each preset for whatever instrument you have connected to your GT-1000 core. Makes life super easy for if you're switching guitars on stage, if you snap a string and it doesn't mess up all of your presets because the guitar you've had to switch to has got much hotter pickups than the guitar you create the preset with and everything's too overdriven. It allows you to have much more control and confidence using this on stage as a working musician especially. Now, my favorite feature on the Bosch GT-1000 core is obviously the air preamp technology. Seriously, until you try a Bosch GT-1000 series pedal, you'll never truly experience how responsive and dynamic the technology is. It truly does feel like you're connecting into a real valve amplifier. And I've tried other digital modelers in the past. They sound brilliant, they don't feel laggy, but they don't feel natural. There's something about them that feels a little bit more squashy compared to an actual real life amplifier. And the GT-1000 core has really captured a really important aspect of guitar playing. Not just how it sounds for the audience, but how it feels for the guitarist. And it feels very inspiring to play because you feel connected to the tone. That has to be one of the major selling points of the GT-1000 core. Now, I will be checking out the brand new Neural Quad Cortex, even though I got loads of hate in my recent video. You can check that out over here if you are interested, but I'm going to be checking out that pedal. I think it sounds great, but I'm really interested to see how it feels compared to the GT-1000 core, because if it doesn't feel as realistic, then it's not as good.